The depths of winter in central Minnesota. The ground covered in snow, the air bitter cold. By the light of the moon, 11-year-old Billy Huling runs through the woods. He runs for help. He runs for his life. Billy's family has just been shot. Officer Jim Kostreba responds to the call.
As soon as I opened the door into the porch and stepped in, I could immediately smell the smell of gunpowder. And with my flashlight, I was able to see a 12-gauge shotgun casing laying on the floor.
Kostreba continues into a darkened living room and the only bedroom on the first floor, where a mother appears to be sleeping.
I saw her laying on the bed, and she was laying with her head towards the foot of the bed, with her legs drawn up.
He follows a trail of shell casings to the second floor. There he finds 3 of the Huling children, 16-year-old Susie, 13-year-old Wayne, and 12-year-old Patty. Each had been shotgunned to death. The officer presses on to the bedroom of the one child who survived, Billy Huling.
The sleeping bag was laying on that bed, and you could see 2 gunshot holes actually in the mattress and the pillow.
A few days after the murders, Deputy Gary Miller is on patrol in neighboring Wright County. On the morning of December 19th, he answers a routine call at the Clearwater Plaza truck stop. A customer is harassing the waitresses. Miller runs a quick check on his car.
When that license check came back, it indicated the vehicle was stolen.
Miller confronts the problem patron, 27-year-old Joe Turry, and arrests him for auto theft. Among the items found inside Turry's car are handwritten lists, scribbled on odd scraps of paper, the names of dozens of women, many of them waitresses.
There was a number of notebooks that had been circled, said, "Get this one."
Investigators are uneasy, but can develop no specific links between Turry and the Huling murders. A few weeks later, the auto theft charge is cleared. Joe Turry is released and fades into the background of a Minnesota winter. 11 days after the murder of his family, 11-year-old Billy Huling undergoes hypnosis.
I thought I heard a shot.
From inside his sleeping bag, Billy hears the sound of his 2 sisters, Susie and Patty, being shot to death in their beds. With his life in the balance, Billy Huling plays dead. The killer is satisfied and leaves. The day unfolds like 5 months later, and 95 miles away. By mid-afternoon, she finishes her errands and heads for home.
So I drove in the driveway, which was a long driveway, and I saw Marlos's car.
Marlos is Fran's 18-year-old daughter. She's a month away from graduating high school and works part-time as a waitress.
I opened the door to the lower level on the side of the house, and I called Marcy, and she didn't answer.
A few more steps and Fran is in the study. It is here that she finds her daughter.
She was sitting upright against the little school desk, and she was totally covered in blood. I saw the injury and knew, her brain skull was totally crushed and was on the floor.
Marlos is rushed to the hospital and dies 2 days later. Without a murder weapon, fingerprints, or any other clues, the case quickly goes cold. On Saturday, May 12th, more than a year after the murder of Marlos Woollenhouse, a young waitress clears the last of her tables and clocks out. It's about 9 o'clock when 19-year-old Diane Edwards walks north along Roberts Road. She's just 3 blocks from home when a brown station wagon drives up over the sidewalk and an unidentified man forces her into the car. 5 people witness the abduction and call police. Off a country road, a hunter stumbles upon a pair of glasses and a purse. Inside the purse, an ID bearing the name Diane Edwards.
Shortly thereafter, here comes a helicopter, and I would say within 5 minutes, one of the deputies in a helicopter radioed me and said to get in my car and drive up the road to this little hill and get out of your car and walk down into the ditch. And as I walked into the ditch, I observed a female laying on her stomach.
Within a couple of weeks, Hofstad gets wind of a possible suspect. The suspect's name is Joseph Turry. Police get a warrant and search Turry's garage, looking for clues that might link him to the Edwards killing. Diane Edwards' name and the number to the restaurant where she worked are found in a notebook inside Joe Turry's garage. Hofstad believes he might have found Diane Edwards' killer and travels to Minneapolis to question Turry.
He played with you. I mean, I think he was good at trying to think he could manipulate you and lead you all over and not go anywhere.
And for a second time, investigators are stymied by a lack of evidence against him. Joseph Turry is not off the hook yet. In April of 1981, he is convicted on 3 counts of rape in cases unrelated to the unsolved murders. With his convictions, he's looking at least 30 years behind bars.
He was being picked on by fellow inmates.
Convicted rapist Joseph Turry would rather do his time in the state mental hospital. To get there, he's willing to give up the details of a murder.
And tell them that we're receptive to the idea of cooperation. We can't make any promises because we don't know what the problem is.
In May 1981, Deputy Archie Sonnenstall turns on a recorder, and Joe Turry begins to talk about how he killed Diane Edwards.
After you got her in the car, how did you manage to keep her in the car?
Tied a rope around her arms.
With Diane Edwards restrained, Turry drove 60 miles north to a rural area near Elk River.
Then he raped her on the front seat, and she screamed some insult at him, and he just blew it, and he stabbed her.
Investigators arrange an afternoon drive. Turry directs them to an empty stretch of road some 60 miles north of St. Paul.
He said, he's within 4 feet of where we found the body.
On May 13th, 1981, Joe Turry is charged with the murder of Diane Edwards. Toby Krominga has spent a lifetime drifting in and out of prisons. In December 1981, he finds himself incarcerated in a county lockup in Elk River, Minnesota. It's here that he meets his new cellmate, Joseph Donald Turry. With a guilty verdict all but certain in the case of Diane Edwards, Joe Turry is once again looking for a way around doing hard time.
Well, that's when he came up with the idea of being nuts. He wanted to write a letter to the judge.
Joe Turry dictates. Toby Krominga writes 2 letters detailing 2 more killings. The first relates to the murder of waitress Susie Hewling. In a second letter, 3 pages long, Turry describes the murder of Marlos Wollonhouse. Joe Turry signs and dates both statements. His letters never make it to the judge.
He kept on saying to me, you double-crossed me, you lied to me, the judge is supposed to get it and all that, you know.
Turry claims he signed a blank piece of paper. What he police accept Joe Turry's alibi for better food, and the jailhouse confessions are discredited. This is how things work. This is Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. In a single office on the 2nd floor, a select few take on the cases all others have given up. In 1996, the agents dig into a file that has haunted them: the murder of 18-year-old Marlos Wollonhouse. Special Agents Everett Doolittle and Randy Stricker begin by re-evaluating all the players in the case. The actual 15 years earlier, the detectives had placed a phone call to officials one of from the Ford Motor Company who told him with Joe Turry was working at one of their plants at the time Marlos Wollonhouse was killed.
He said, yeah, Joe Turry was at work on May 8th at the time of the murder. Joe Turry, date of birth 1911 was. And I said, he said, yes, his dad was at work at the time. There's no record showing Joe Turry.
So that was the big
was
break.
at work.
It blew away his alibi. Going back.
The collapse of Turry's alibi puts the convicted killer once again in the crosshairs of the Wollonhouse investigation and brings his jailhouse confession back into play. Detectives find a chilling echo of Turi's to determine if it leads true at the Wolin House. Just another piece of cell block
That's never been in the
dad
media.
hard
That's never
for the
been
Wolin
out
House
because they're
murder.
really
This
worried about
time,
these 8 years
the
old.
suspicion
Family was scared for his
sticks.
safety.
17 years after Marlos Wohlenhaus was found bludgeoned to death, Turi is arrested for her murder. John Fristic
The
is
murder
given
of
the
Alice
task
Hewling
of
and
prosecuting
three of her
Turi for the
children.
Wohlenhaus murder.
Fueling
To prepare
those
for trial,
suspicions,
Fristic
is a
decides
curious
to
police
educate
stop
himself
made
about
just
Turi's
days after
criminal
the
past.
Hewling
massacre. From a stolen car driven by Turi, police pulled a metal bar, a list of women's names, and a toy Batmobile.
And
At the
so I
time,
thought
no
to
link
myself,
could be developed between these
where do you
items
get
and the
this car?
Hewling murders. Petty Officer William Hewling has spent more than 2 decades trying to forget about a cold night in December 1978, the night his family was murdered.
The witness coordinator of Washington County called up and said that they had some evidence that they wanted me to look at. And just, I don't know why I said it or how or where it ever came from. It's just like, oh, did you find my Batmobile car?
The following day, Billy Hewling identifies the Batmobile. A jury returns its verdict County in waited 12 hours. In the case of the Hewling family massacre, Joseph Turi is found guilty on 4 counts of murder and sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in a Minnesota prison. For sole survivor Billy Hewling, the sentence seems appropriate.
He's never going to get out. I'm at a point now where I can live with that. It doesn't matter.